I never want a little girl to feel like some of the moments I felt when I was young, when I was unsure, when I didn't have high self-esteem because someone said some words to me in relation to the color of my skin. I think it's really important to establish what an issue is so we can be able to solve it so that it doesn't continuously be something that goes on until it becomes a genetic installation within ourselves. You know, you pass it down to your daughter, your granddaughter, your great-granddaughter, and everybody in your family will start feeling like, well, I'm less than because someone in my family told me I was, or a boy told me I was. And if we don't address these situations, it's just going to continuously be a community problem.
Who's ready for some girl talk?
Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Nicole D. Miller, author, blogger, speaker, hybrid book publisher, and your host. At Girl Talk, we are a safe space for female leaders to engage in healing and edifying conversation. This is your Me Too empathetic corner, where we have authentic and transformative dialogue designed to uplift and connect high-achieving women like you. Are you looking for a safe space to cultivate sisterhood with other like-minded female bosses? Leave your cape at the door and join the conversation. Hi guys, and welcome to Girl Talk. I'm your host, Nicole D. Miller. Today, we're resuming the conversation, Is Colorism Still a Thing? Now, if for some reason you missed part 1, definitely make sure you run it back. Even though this is typically an uncomfortable conversation in our community at best, and traumatizing and painful at worst, I'm happy to report that me and my girls handled it with care. The ladies were authentic in their life experience, while leaving room for space to disagree or be educated on another perspective. In this conversation, I have joining me Brittany Knight, Lisa Evans, Ari Baker, Sam Walker, and Nakia Hudson. In part 1, we heard some themes that the women shared of childhood bullying to being bullied even in the home. So many of the mothers passed on their unhealthy beliefs to their children, leaving their children to grow up as scarred women. Now in part 2, we'll take another look back, but also take a look at now. Is colorism still a thing? Find out in this next episode of Girl Talk. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and join the conversation.
Just want to tell a quick story, and this is what we talked about on the phone of, I don't want to compare anything to make slavery seem like it's better, but we know we had the house and we had the field. And no, I don't think any experience was a good experience. Right. But someone posed the question to me one day, like, well, how do you know the house experience was better? Why? Because they got better clothes. They may have gotten better scraps, but they had to deal with her and him right in their face on a daily basis. So how you know she wasn't getting hit with a shoe in a pan daily? You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows anybody's situation, but, it's supposed to be us once again. And again, that's why I'm super happy to be here. And I wanted to share that experience. I haven't talked about it in a long time, but it really hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Nakia. Yeah, you go. You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. All of you all, thank you for sharing your story. When I was talking to Nicole about this topic, I was telling her that even though I'm darker skinned woman, I have heard the stories of light skinned women. I know that they don't get it as easy as we would think that you all would.
Oh, so I left out. She hired her.
Oh, okay.
Anne's pregnant and she was going to be going on a leave.
Wow.
After she hired her though. Yeah.
Wow.
She hired her.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Thank you. Yeah, my experience with colorism, I've, like Ari, I was bullied by men, mostly men and women, but mostly men. And it was crazy because it would be darker skinned men. And they darker than me. It would be like, oh, you black, and just craziness. So that definitely affected my self-esteem. And I am adopted. So my adopted mother is lighter skinned, and she has a daughter who's lighter skinned. And then my adopted dad, he's actually darker skinned, and my biological sister who's adopted with me, she is my complexion. So I didn't experience any, I'll say I was not affirmed in my household. I don't think it was blatant colorism, but I was not affirmed. So I already struggled with self-esteem in that regard. And then going to school, always being bullied relentlessly. And then, like you said, all right, you can tell the differences in the way your peers, guys would kind of respond to lighter skinned women versus me. And I always had a light skinned best friend as well, just trying to find value in that. But it wasn't until really my mid-20s and when I really developed a relationship with God, was when I began to feel secure in who I am and allow him to show me who I am, and that he created me fearfully and wonderfully on purpose. And that was when I really was able to secure my identity in him and value myself for being dark skinned, and not see it as a negative. And I was telling Nicole also that my husband was the first man that ever was like, wow, you're so beautiful. Like, I had never experienced that from another man, not even my dad. And he was the first person that really affirmed me in that and really allowed me to grow and really just flourish. So I appreciate my husband so much for that. So yeah, that's my short story, as we'll get into the specifics a little bit more.
Well, listen, hearing all of the stories, and I got to hear glimpses of them thanks to your reels, Nicole. Again, you get to get both ends of the spectrum, because, we may think that dark skin have it tough, but then light skin have it tough, and even in between. So, Ari, I appreciate your testimony as well. And obviously no different than Sam and Nikia's situation. I mean, light skins have it tough, I would say I remember school-wise, I loved Black History Month, loved learning about our culture, loved everything about it, and being able to really understand what they went through. I also hated Black History Month at the same time, because every time I walked into school and we get to watching those videos, we get to talking, guess who gets pointed at as, oh, you did this to us. You know what I mean? And it's like, I went through it with you. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back to my history, we're rocking in the same boat. Our relatives came on the same boat here. Trust me. I empathize with what was going on, but yeah, I got bullied constantly, and it just never stopped, and even to your point, Sam, your family will sometimes hit you the worst with it. It's like, I couldn't help how God made me. If I could, I would, but it was tough. And even when you get older, it doesn't change. I still will sometimes get that type of ridicule, you know what I mean? But you just learn to fight through it. And that's what I've had to do. So I found God, you know what I mean? I've always grew up in the church. You stray away and then you find your way back. Y'all know how I go. But God was my anchor. He was my strength when it felt like the world was against me. Mm-hmm. So, again, this topic was something that I was going to talk about on my podcast, Nicole, but I'm glad that you brought it to light. As soon as you asked, with no hesitation, I'm like, absolutely yes. Because I went through it, and I don't want no one else to go through it if I can help it. So if I got to tell my story and tell how it was tough, it was rough, but you can make it through, if it can encourage some little girl or even some little boy, then I know it was words well spoken.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you all so much for your vulnerability. And I know this is such a sensitive topic, so I appreciate everyone's openness and willingness to share their truth. For me, I believe because of racism, there is a privilege that goes along with lighter skinned people in our society in general. And based on my own experience with colorism, I came into this conversation with that viewpoint. And then hearing my fair-skinned sister's stories, that helped to broaden my understanding of how you guys can experience a similar rejection and exclusivity based on your skin tone. I still don't know if it's across the board, like that every light-skinned person has these types of traumatic stories that y'all are sharing. And I do think that it is about your community, like being in the hood, you the second lightest person in the school, you know, like these are like very, to me, extreme. But I don't want to take away from you sharing. I just want to be honest, because my perception is when we go into the greater world, I am going to be viewed with the lens from white culture of being less beautiful, less intelligent. And what I will say is I have an experience of being accepted by white culture growing up and being rejected by the Black community. And I've had to have a lot of healing to be in this space, especially in this city. So when God started calling me forward to have a platform in the very space that rejected me from the people who rejected me, I was like, oh, this is about to be faith. But I needed healing for my own tribe and community. The next question I want to share, and this is something based on my experience as a darker skinned woman, so I'm interested to hear what the fair skinned women have to say. Have you faced makeup battles with your skin tone? Were you told not to wear certain colors? I've had a lot of pushback on my lip color, primarily from the aunties. I'm an auntie, so they like the grandmas. I'm just saying. The older generation. This is the real. This is what I've gotten on social media. I have a platform. You coming for me for my lip color. And I know it's because that's what they were taught. But for me, this is my self-expression. I look good. I don't care what you say. And, you know, but I never was told that in my home that I couldn't wear certain colors. I have a friend who's light-skinned and was told she couldn't wear bright lipstick because she had big lips. So she was getting it for a whole nother reason. I'm like, but I was never told these things. So that made me more free in my creativity and in my fashion. But I've heard so many other darker skinned women say that they were told these things. If you don't mind starting, we can just switch up the order and Brittany can start.
Sure. I don't mind. I guess when it comes to colors, you know what I will say? I remember this distinctly because I was McDonald's making my little money and getting my little nails done and hair done. And I remember back in the day, you know, you had the Chinese people that would do the airbrush of the tips. And I'm like, I want to switch it up from white. I get tired of wearing white all the time. So I'm like, oh, give me yellow, you know. So I do yellow on my hands. And I go home and I show my mom. She's like, honey, you too light skinned for that color. You shouldn't have picked that color. Don't ever wear that color again. For years, I never wore yellow. Years. So it goes back to like what I said. I never felt safe no matter where I was at because, you know, even people closest to you that should be uplifting you will sometimes be the ones that tear you down the most. Yeah. So it took a long time. I don't even know when the epiphany came where I'm like, you know, I'm gonna wear yellow. Let me try it. And I remember when I finally decided to wear yellow, someone was like, that looks good on you. And it just blew my mind how words have power. Because I think it had been at least a decade of me not wearing any type of yellow. No specks, no sprinkles, no nothing of yellow. That was a restricted color. And I do too. It actually became one of my favorite colors to wear. Or black hair, you know. Again, Mama, you're too light skinned for that. Don't wear that no more. So, you know, again, if you let those words really settle with you, you tend to settle for it. You know what I mean? And eventually, I don't know where the strength came from that. And I'm like, I don't wear black hair. It didn't look too bad. It's probably my favorite, but it didn't look too bad. But it's just finding yourself. So again, I just want to be able to speak to that young lady, that young girl, and that young boy even, you know what I mean? That don't let what the naysayers say stop you from being who you are and what you want to do, what you want to wear, down to a lip color. Honey, I don't think I done tried them all, okay? Because I no longer care what people think.
Yeah, definitely a struggle with makeup. Absolutely a struggle. I started wearing makeup probably about 10, maybe close to 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and it's still a struggle. You have to go to certain drugstores. If you wear drugstore makeup, if you want to wear drugstore makeup, get some little quick, cheap, you know, makeup, foundation. You got to go to certain neighborhoods because if you go to a neighborhood that seems like it's more lighter skinned people, they won't even have darker shades. So it's just insane, the struggle with makeup. Hard to find powder, hard to find people to do your makeup. My wedding makeup, had to figure out my wedding. It's always a struggle with those things. Like, I know for my wedding, I had to find makeup artists that I've seen do makeup on women that look like me with my undertone, all that stuff, because if not, I will look pale, washed out, all these things, because they don't know how to match it properly, which is very interesting. You're an artist and you don't know how to match all different types of skin tones, but it's not my problem. So yeah, it's definitely been a struggle with colors, makeup, definitely colors. I would have never worn this color when I was younger because it was just a no, not wearing bright colors, all of those types of things. Thank you. And like you said, like as soon as I tried it, someone was like, "Oh, you look so cute." I was like, "Okay, green." I still really struggle with venturing into yellow, struggle with venturing into green, just being honest, because I never wore those colors growing up. Never really saw dark-skinned women wearing these colors growing up. So, you look beautiful in your green. I love it. You look so nice. I love it. So yeah, it's definitely a struggle. And I think it's become so like subconscious to me that it doesn't even bother me anymore when I go into a store and I'm like, okay, you don't have makeup for me. I just go to the next store. But it's just very frustrating. It definitely is frustrating. Yeah.
I can't say that I've ever had a problem. I don't really like wearing makeup. I'm an eyeliner, lip gloss kind of girl. Because when I do get my makeup done and get foundation, my immediate thought is drag queen. Yeah. It's just too much. It's just the foundation is just, I don't like it at all. So I do have two people that do my makeup, and they probably hate to see me coming because I'm like, put on the makeup, but don't put on the makeup. Like a really, really light beat. Like I will go home and just do this if they because it's just, it takes away instead of, enhancing. So, barely their foundation and the rest you can do whatever you please. I don't like red lipstick though. It's just because of a granny-ish looking thing. You look 100 years old. Yeah, 100 years old.
That's what you think.
Yeah, because I was, that was another thing I was going to say too. No, go ahead.
I don't do the red lipstick.
That was another no, we can't wear in the house. Definitely not red.
No. I think it looks beautiful. I love it when I see it on other people, but me, myself, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So my background being in the fashion industry,
Sam is always beat looking nice.
But I hope I don't look like a granny because I love red lipstick.
No, you look beautiful.
But just coming from a fashion standpoint, right? Not only one of the biggest as in body size in Cleveland, but I'm also one of the fair skins. So I want to say maybe the first 5-6 years of me doing runway here in Cleveland, the makeup artist never had my shade. Most of the time, they weren't even willing to try. Wow. They wouldn't even just mix a drop of this.
She told me that.
Yeah.
You told me that.
So people ask me, why did I start learning how to do makeup? Mm-hmm. Because for whatever reason, when it was my turn, I don't have your shade. Wow. I'm fresh out. And I went through that for years. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to figure it out. And then it got to the point where people were like, well, who did your face? I want her to do mine. I was like, me. And I'm charging you top price.
I'm one of them. I was like, Sam.
And it was so frustrating because it was so many layers to it. You can go to L'Oreal and Maybelline and certain brands. You can find my color. Just say that you don't have the technique, skills, artistry, or knowledge to do it. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the fashion industry or any industry and you call yourself an artist, artists figure it out. Mm-hmm. So that's why I deem myself, I don't say I'm a makeup artist, but if you call me, you need a beat, I got you. But I had to learn that because I was so much of an outlier. Mm-hmm. Most of the people I model with, most of them were brown skin, darker skin, and then there was me. And it wasn't just because of my color, but it was also my size. So I got it from two folds. I'm too big and I'm too light. So I'm going to just stay over here in the corner. Growing up, my mom was a makeup girl. She stayed in some Estee Lauder fashion fair. Lord have mercy. And so when I became of age,
you got to put some rouge on. You got to put some blush on. You just look sick.
Oh, wow.
Like my mom told me for years I looked sick because I wasn't into the makeup like that. I would put a little shimmer, a little gloss, because I'm cute. I always knew I was cute. But when your mom tells you you're cute, but there's always a but. Something could always be better. And I didn't wear makeup for boys. I wore makeup because it made me feel pretty. I enjoyed it. I was the girl to like dress up and heels and that type of thing. So it wasn't until I want to say like my late 20s, I started wearing bronzer and blush. But I had started piling it on so thick. It was thick and it was nasty and it was what you said it was. Because I was trying to cover up this paleness because I look sick. So my neck is this color, and then my face is this color. Not because I intentionally did it, but because I want to look pretty enough to my mom because now I have some color. So I was the girl who was experimenting with all the wild makeup trends. I look like, I'm not even going to say it. I look like a $3 because I literally was like, I have color now. Am I pretty now, mommy? I got color. And, that's when I started wearing lipstick because I would never wear lipstick. I thought it was old fashioned. I started wearing lipstick and she's like, oh, you look good. I'm like, I do? Okay, well, let's add on this. I still look good, mommy? Like, the more I added, the more I got my mom's acceptance. And that took a long, 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 long time to feel like I had finally reached that level where my mom thinks I'm pretty.
Okay. Well, she's so pretty. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
You know you're gorgeous because you're my pet.
But parents, you don't know how big of a role you play in your children's life growing up. Little affirmations is all your daughter or son needs to feel valued. Because if you're telling me at home I'm not dark enough, you're telling me at home I'm too white, you're telling me at home I don't fit in, I go to school, I don't fit in, I'm not pretty enough, where do I go? Where do I go? So that's, and I said it wasn't going to come up today, but it needed to come up because throughout her life, and mostly during her afterlife, is when I learned more about her story and the things her mother said to her about her not being pretty. And that trickled down to me and my sister. But my sister was prettier than me because my sister looked just like my mom. And my sister was brown skinned, looked just like my mom, then there's me. And so just affirming your child that they are made the way they're supposed to, there's nothing wrong with you. And that's a big problem in our society, is that there always has to be a problem and somebody has to solve it. My skin tone is not a problem. My appearance is not my problem. That's your problem because of your insecurity. So that's where a lot of things manifest, is within other people's minds. So, yes, though.
Yeah, that's their stuff. It is.
Your time, girl.
And I was just sitting here and kind of off topic. Me and my mom don't have a great relationship, but I'm hard on her. And I just really wanted to realized that my mom really affirmed me because she bigged me up about my skin. Oh, you're peanut butter. You have toffee skin. My stepsister is fair skin. And she has small lips and a tiny little button nose and curly hair. And I remember saying to my mom, Mommy, I don't like the way I look. I wish I looked more like Destiny. I wish I had smaller lips like hers and a smaller nose and curly hair. And she grabbed my chin and looked at me and she was like, you have beautiful full lips, and one day your husband's going to love them, and all the men are going to love you, and you're gorgeous. And I was just, I looked at her like, who would want a woman with big lips? I grew up.
Hey,
It's not a problem. But
everybody wants your list.
no filters here, no shade. Okay. So thank you, Mom. But makeup. So I was never a makeup girly until I got into college. So I went to a predominantly white school. Well, can I say names here? Is it okay? Okay, great. I went to Ursuline. So I was very much the token black girl there for a long time. I finished top 10 in my class. but I befriended a lot of white girls. And this is before my walk with my people had got real strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still looking for acceptance. I really wanted to belong. And I remember, like, they would started inviting me out. And they were like, oh, you need to do your makeup. And at the time, I was having some issues with the father of my child. We just weren't connected. And he was like, well, maybe if you do your makeup, he'll like you a little bit better. And I said, well, what kind of makeup?
Right.
What kind of makeup? I asked, what kind of makeup do you guys wear? And they all said the same brand. They was like, oh, we use Anastasia, which is known as makeup for white girls, just to be transparent. But I didn't know anything about makeup. I've always been like a plain face girl. And I went to Sephora and I asked the representative, I said, show me all your Anastasia. Expensive. And what's the other one? Urban Decay. Girl, I spent $300 that day just to go home. The makeup oxidizes. It's white based. And if you're a brown skinned girl, you leave looking orange. And it almost like the process of learning how to do your hair when you have natural hair. I went through so many brands trying to figure out what was best for my skin type, being brown and makeup not oxidizing. And then I finally found, I stumbled across MAC and I like Dior. But I want to talk about colors. So because I am brown, I got the same thing. I went to the MAC store. You're brown, so here are the shades that'll look cute for you. They want to keep you in the nudes, right? But I was like, what about one of my favorite colors, heroin, which is purple, or flat out fabulous, which is bright pink, like what you're wearing. Oh no, you're too brown skin for that, and your lips are really full, so you can't have that type of color. Girl, I bought them colors, and I went on YouTube, and I found ways to line out my lips. I wear red. I wear a matte red almost every time I go out, and when I say people grab me by the wrist and be like, "What's that on your lips that you're wearing?" Now I don't like red on your nails as much. But like the lip, it's just something like very like sensual. It's powerful, especially when you have full lip. Do it. Just do it one time and watch all the compliments. I'm telling you, it's very. It makes me feel grown when I put on the red lip. You know what I'm saying? It's very nice. So yeah, it took a lot of confidence, a lot of money to find makeups that are for us. And I follow this one influencer. I can't think of her name right now. I'm upset. She's like from Senegal, but she's very, very deep colored chocolate. And what she does is she tries all the skin shades and she'll blotch it on her skin and she will get at these people like, this is your darkest skin color? Try again. And I love when people do stuff like that because I swear, almost like with sizes too, they will stop at one color, one size, and saying, if you're anything beyond that, something's wrong with you. And then, then you're left feeling like you're incomplete.
Yeah.
So that's just my makeup journey.
So on the topic of red, because everybody done chimed in on this,
I'm going to find a nice red.
I personally am not a red girl, so we're here together. But I've been told because I'm darker skinned, I should be wearing red from the aunties, right? This is what they tell me. But I am a pink girl. That is just me. That's my personality, okay? I do red once in a while. I'm just, your makeup is a part of your personality. So you shouldn't be pigeonholed into because I'm this skin tone, I need to wear this, right? If you love it, do it. If you like it, I love it. Just want to put that out there. I do struggle with that. They keep discontinuing my pinks. That's the struggle for the darker reds. So many, girl. We're going to talk later. But it's I have tried and tried. And hearing Sam's story was so eye-opening because I am one of the darkest people in my friend group. I feel like on the planet. Like, it's not too many people as dark. But I've gotten what you've gotten because I'm on the other extreme. I never knew that it would be like, you're too light, so we don't have this for you. So that was eye-opening.
Baby had me looking like Casper several times. So
Yeah.
never mind.
Okay. We're going to wrap this up because I know y'all brewing with questions. I can feel them. Since the topic is colorism still a thing? I want you to share if you feel like it is or is not and back it up with your evidence for your viewpoints. Who wants to go first?
I've been thinking about this question. I'm actually kind of happy with how things are going in relation to colorism and our women. I think social media has placed a spotlight on people being ignorant towards skin tone. I'm hoping it's not trend based, because, you know, a lot of times, so now I'm seeing men saying, oh, she's so dark skinned and beautiful. It's, you know, all these dating shows now. All the dating shows that, you know, you line people up and you pop balloons. Like, men are like, oh, you have a beautiful dark skin. And I'll be like, I never heard men say things like that when I was younger. Like, I've never heard a man say, you are so, I love your dark skin. I've heard you're pretty to be so dark skinned or you're pretty to be black. I've heard that, but I've never heard a man lead with, oh, your skin, you're so chocolate. But now I'm seeing it. And I think it's because we are doing like the work like we're doing now. We're talking about it. It's so important to educate not just your daughters, but your sons, to watch what you say, you know,
That's true.
to your sisters and your female friends and your counterparts in school. Because just like you said, I've caught hell from dark-skinned men. Like, how are you? It's self-hate. Like, your mom is your complexion and you dislike how I look.
Right.
So yeah, but I think things are headed in the right direction when it comes to colorism. I think it still exists, of course, outside of our community. Like, I'm not gonna be. I mean, they're always gonna find ways to have us put ourselves against each other. That's just the reality of it. You know, we can only grow so much. But within our body, within our community, I think that we really are starting to look at like the ignorance that really we pushed 20, 30 years ago, and we're trying to correct it now.
I think colorism absolutely exists, but I think the beautiful thing is it's amplified. You know, it used to be taboo. We don't talk about it, but now we're talking about it. So I feel like the more that we are outright having these conversations and people are able to tap in how they feel, either yay or nay, the conversations are being had and it's not so private at home. Because you know how a lot of us grew up, what happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk about these types of things outside, but all of those conversations now are outside. And I think that's because our generation in particular has focused so much on breaking those chains and healing generational curses that you know, it wasn't us. This didn't happen when we got here. These are years and years of our family members dealing with certain things. And now we're the type of generation that's like, yeah, we not, just because it was doesn't mean that's what it's always going to be. So I'm really proud of our generation for using platforms like Girl Talk to be able to have these conversations. And it's not a secret. It's never been a secret. But now with us really being honest about how we felt, I hope that so many more people can have conversations with their families about, you know, just the family dialogue and how we talk to each other in the house, outside the house. And I really hope that this will open a lot of people's eyes to keep having these conversations.
I also think that we're moving in a positive direction as far as colorism. I think that at least the circles and the people that I meet, it's genuine Black girl joy. You know, it's genuine Black girl magic. And I think that we all recognize that, you know, we all have something to add and we are all sisters and we're all family and we are all beautiful women and men. But yeah, I think it's moving in a really good direction. I can't say that I experience it so much. All of the people and the women and the people that I meet, I've had positive experiences. So I'm really happy about that. And I hope that we continue, again, by having conversations like this, I hope that we continue to understand that, again, we are all beautiful and we are all sisters and brothers.
I think that colorism does still exist. I think that definitely in the larger scheme of just media, just still the way we're depicted is not necessarily the love interest, not necessarily the successful, you know, strong, you know, we just depicted in a very negative way still, I believe, from what I watch and for what I study. Actually, one of my master's projects was about how Black people and darker skinned people are portrayed in the media versus like white people and lighter skinned people. So I think it's still ongoing and pervasive, but I do agree that I do think it's getting better, especially with just, how outspoken I feel like my generation is as a millennial. We're just very strong, sometimes a little too strong, on breaking generational curses. Even in my household, my daughter is lighter than me. My husband is like probably caramel skin complected, so my daughter is his complexion. They're twins. And I am now having to have conversations with my mom and my aunts because they'll say things like, oh, her hair, oh, and I'm like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So it's still that, lingering amongst our community and in the wider scope of things. But I do think we are progressing towards a healthier space with these types of conversations.
Yeah. I would say the same. I think we're definitely getting better at it. Growing up as a kid, there was very few kids that maybe got to really get to know you and realize that you're super cool regardless of your skin color. As I got older, people still maybe had that mentality at first. I've heard countless times, girl, I thought you was stuck up and bougie. Again, because I was light skinned. But at least they were willing to really get to know me, get to understand me, get to realize that I'm so down to earth and so cool. And we'd be the best buddies, you know what I mean? So I guess it just really, maybe as you get older, you start to retrain your mind to realize that we're all just people. And if you really get to know the person inside versus being so caught up on the outside, you realize, like, man, you really dope. You really cool, regardless of whatever shade you is, So yeah, I think that we're headed in a better direction. To your point, Ari, I have seen more positivity when it comes to, the comments of whatever shade we are. We're all beautiful Black women. I am glad to see both men and women acknowledging that more. So yeah, I think we're heading in the right direction.
I do have to tell this story.
What?
You thought the same thing about me too?
No, you know the story. You already know the story. Oh, Lord.
What? She is like, you a mess.
So,
We're supposed to be cool.
So I have this wine festival every year, and it's Black-owned wine brands, and we featured the first Black-owned brewery this year, but this was last year. And the pull up pulls up, and they support we all support each other's businesses. And we do what we can. So they were like, we're going to jump in. What do you need? What do you need us to do? Wherever you need us to be, just tell us where you want us to be. So I'm like, oh, y'all saved me, And I needed people at the door, ticket people, And so there's this lady, and she's there, and she's still there. And I come back and forth to the table a couple times, and then the lady sits down and starts taking tickets. And I'm like, well, whose friend is she? I said, well, she gotta be somebody's friend because she's sitting at the table collecting money. So she came with somebody. Is it Brittany? But Brittany had blonde hair. She had blonde hair, but she had a cap on too, though. But she had on a cap and blonde hair, and I'm like, who is this white lady that's sitting? And I literally, she was like, hey, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And just kept talking, And then I was like, I came back the last time, and I was like, Britt. It was just so funny. It was the hair. It was blonde. And I was like, you look really pretty. But Brittany, I did not know that was you. I'm like, why didn't you say Nakia? Because I was like, hey, how you doing? And kept... So funny. She made me laugh when she brought that. I was like, sorry, Britt. She's so cool.
Well, on that note, you shared something similar on our one-on-one, and I was like, that's how we know you Black, because you switch up your wigs.
Yeah, so switch him up, baby. Switch him up.
And, I was really hurt to hear Brittany share her story as well as Sam, but when Brittany was saying that she was constantly questioned about being white, I just was in shock. I would never think that. And I don't know if it's because I have lighter skinned loved ones in my life. So I just would never think that. I'll answer the question. Do I think colorism still exists? Definitely, for sure. But I do think that we have made advancements with healing and maturity and growth in our community. I definitely echo what we said about millennials. I think even social media and TikTok is bringing these topics to our awareness, but it really starts with us. It is our inner healing. I think some of that was just a lack of maturity as children. Clearly, the trauma from previous generations that we're awakening to. Our generation is really proponents for mental health, inner healing, and all of that. So I would definitely say we're in recovery. I wanted to do this platform and this topic because of my own personal issues. Every topic is selected because of my own personal trauma and things I've had to go through that are sensitive to me. And I understand I'm not alone. So this is a healing space. I'm encouraged. Even when Sam shared with me about the TikTok one, that opened my eyes to like the negative part of this that's happening. So we're having a positive healing conversation, but there are like the negative traumatic responses that are still happening in our community that we need to be aware of. But it really does start with us, and it starts with the leaders in this room and in our community. So on that note, we're going to open up the floor to you guys for Q&A. If there's anything you want to share that's on your heart, or ask our panelists any questions.
Well, ladies, I hope you found our conversation edifying, enlightening, and healing. We went deep. The tears flowed effortlessly. I think this was by far the most emotional segment we've done, and that makes me proud. It means Girl Talk has successfully become a safe space for all who are invited. But we didn't just cry, though. We laughed, too. Sometimes laughter can help us heal from trauma. Now, what are some of the items shared that stood out to you? Did you resonate with the struggle to find makeup based on your skin tone? What was surprising to me was that this wasn't just a dark-skinned woman's issue. Literally, my lighter counterparts and brown-skinned sisters were either pigeonholed into certain colors, or makeup artists simply didn't have their color altogether. Sometimes we can feel isolated in our experience if we don't know others are having it too. Sometimes we can create a false belief system that certain experiences only happen to a select group of people because the only time we hear about them is from those who look like us. Still, having this conversation with a panel of women of different skin tones was a bit risky. Not many of us darker-skinned women have ever been so bold to share our truth with our lighter sisters, and vice versa. Thankfully, we were able to approach the topic with open hearts and listening ears. Some of the items that stood out to me was the false belief that most of the women held about wearing certain colors. I was shocked when Brittany was told she couldn't wear yellow. As a darker-skinned woman, for years, I shied away from brighter colors because of my skin, yet had never known that lighter women did the same. I was shocked to hear Ari talk about being told she could only wear nude just because she was brown. I was surprised that Sam experienced makeup artists not having her foundation, or how her mom kept harping on her to wear rouge. Sadly, the struggle is real for women of all skin tones in our community, regardless of shade. Now, I did mention in this segment that I still believe our society favors lighter skin over darker skin, and there's a level of perceived class with bagging a light or white woman. We see that in the numerous rappers and athletes who grab a lighter woman once they make it. However, what this conversation did for me was to see more clearly the larger plan for colorism to divide us. It helped expose the lies that we believe that this only happens to us, or they have it better because fill in the blank. It hurt my heart to hear the rejection my lighter sisters face, and how they would even want to change their skin tone because of it. I believe our Creator is diverse and makes all of us diverse for a reason, to reflect Him. God is the author and the creator of our races. Anything He makes is beautiful. I hope this conversation helps you to think twice, sis. Before judging someone on the basis of their skin tone, how about you find out about the content of their character? After all, isn't that why our ancestors, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., died? They died for us to have the opportunity for equality, respect, and acceptance based on who we are and not what we look like. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure to catch the next episode where we'll hear these ladies share one-on-one their experiences with colorism. I'll even throw in the Q&A that took place after our conversation. And remember, I attract amazing women doing amazing things. So guess what, sis? That means you're amazing. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. To continue the conversation, join our Girl Talk community by following @GirlTalkCLE on Instagram and Facebook.com/HTOHB, where you can join the Girl Talk Facebook group. You can follow me personally on Instagram @HTOHB, on Facebook.com/HTOHB, and at YouTube.com/@HTOHB. Feel free to reach out via email info@indiemillerpublishing.com. If you're a writer who wants to take the next steps into becoming a published author, you can book a one-on-one consultation at indiemiller.pub. Just let me know you heard about my publishing house through Girl Talk, and I'll give you a 50% discount on our one-on-one. If you'd like weekly inspirational nuggets, you can subscribe to my blog and monthly newsletter at NicoleDmiller.com, where you can learn more about me and my writings. Till next time.